HQ, I am very pleased to welcome you to our webinar this morning. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to you for wherever you are in the world. I know that we've got people joining us from Bulgaria, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, the UK, and even further afield. I want to run through our agenda for today's webinar, but very quickly, I should say that we're very excited to have with us today Manuela Nadel, who's the Business Process Manager in Customer Service for 123 TV. We also have Alexander Moore, the Customer Director for the Quality Group. And throughout our conversation this morning, we're going to touch on some of the trends in workforce scaling for Black Friday and for other seasonality within the e-commerce sector. We want to find out how retail brands are managing their costs and scaling efficiently during their peak customer times. We want to share some stories from both Manuela and Alexander. We'll then dive into some flexible working models and how the gig economy partnerships and see how they can help companies scale their customer support. And then we'll also just get some opinions from Manuela and Alexander on the impact of AI, predictive analytics, and workforce management tools, and how they see those particular things impacting the CX industry from their perspective. And then there'll also be a chance for you to have some Q&A at the end as well. So I'm very pleased to welcome to our webinar two CX professionals, both from very interesting e-commerce brands. We have Manuela Nadel. A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us from 123 TV, and Alexander Moore from the Quality Group. Manuela, let me start with you. Can you tell me a little bit about 123 TV, what your brand does, and what makes you special?
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, everybody else. Yeah, welcome. Of course we can. So I'm working at 123 TV. We are a multi-channel TV station. We teleshopping center, or we're working in that arena, and we're using a dynamic pricing model to attract our customer base. We're working 18 hours a day for 7 days a week. We will be 20 years on the market. In September, we're celebrating 20 years anniversary. And we're serving as our customers in specific German and Austrian market at the moment.
And with 123 TV, you have customers 18 hours a day. And depending on the products, those customer numbers are fluctuating on an hour-by-hour basis. I'm imagining, Manuela, so we're going to dive into some of the complexity of that at 123 TV throughout this chat. I'm also going to say a very good morning to Alexander Moore from the Quality Group. And if you haven't heard of the Quality Group, they have several brands within their portfolio. So I'm going to throw it over to Alexander to talk about the Quality Group and their brands ESN, More Nutrition, and The Foodist, and his role.
Good morning from my side as well. Well, as Chris already mentioned, we are not that much known as a company by the name The Quality Group, but some of you might have been in contact with our brands. The two most important being ESN and More Nutrition. Both are market-leading brands in Germany, particularly in the fields of sports nutrition and feel-good nutrition. So two fields that are clearly trending right now. And just to give you an idea of the company, the size, so obviously as a market leader, we are the most relevant player. We have now almost 700 million in sales annually. We have our own production plant in Germany, in the north, near to Hamburg. We have more than 1,200 employees. And I think what's quite special about us is particularly our social commerce business model, which is something which is particularly addressing the younger and more digital native generation, and something that most FMCGs are quite jealous of.
And what I like about today's chat, and thank you, Alexander, is that we have the quality group, which does a lot on social, and so younger demographic. But Manuela, as you mentioned, 123 TV, they've been around for almost 20 years, I think, in September. And you have a slightly older demographic, but we know that there's probably a pivot coming there ultimately. So let's kick it off. We're talking about, in our webinar today, unlocking Black Friday potential, the future trends in seasonal workforce scaling. So Manuela, let's start with you. Home shopping, it's really pumping out a lot of content. There are products people love and other products that might take a little bit more work to get people to fall in love with them on TV. But either way, you would have a workforce that needs scaling on an hourly basis. Can you tell us a little bit about your needs from a workforce perspective when it comes to home shopping, please?
So traditional, what we're doing, because we're using a gamification approach to reach our customers with our live shows, which run 18 hours, you obviously have a scaling up and down because products are not, some people like products. We can only forecast so much. If you, for example, have a cooking show on What's Now, it's very, very traditionally loved by our Southern German customer base or Austrian customer base, and it's primarily based on who the moderator is. So our moderators identify very heavily with our customers. So you can sometimes say, okay, that moderator's on site, that moderator's moderating at the moment, our sales probably go up. We obviously have our customer service force and very, very, very strong, our customer service base as well. And we working hand in hand with our customer service. Because we have an older generation, our demographic, our customers is older. So we're looking at the above 60. Our customer service agents are also very long with us already. So we have customer service agents working 6-7 years already, and they know their customers, and that makes it very special. So yeah, we making call outs. I have to work really closely with my customer service centers or center in that case, and depending what we need, we can make that call live and online. Because as I'm speaking now to you, I'm watching the TV show as well because it's cooking on at the moment. We see the customers as well. I know what the numbers look like. I can actually jump in and say, okay, we get a lot of calls coming through because whatever they're presenting at the moment, they like. Can we move our agents to that specific line where customers can order? Because it's an auction center, the problem is, the prices go down and everybody wants to get fast into the line. So customers waiting, we can't have customers waiting. That's the problem. That's what we're sitting with.
So you really almost minute by minute can have the number of CX agents needed to answer the phones can change. So how has 123 TV traditionally solved this problem? Because this obviously happens for companies, especially when it comes to Black Friday and other seasonal events like travel over summer. So how has 123 TV traditionally tackled this problem?
So interestingly enough, 123 has never really changed their approach. We always have done it through a customer service center. We always have done it with our agents. What we have strength, and we have our collaboration with our customer service center is very, very strong. So there's a deep understanding from both sides, how we approach our customer service from inside 123 as well as from customer service back into 123. And that makes it very unique to us. And the customers recognize that as well.
Okay. Alexander, can we just flick over to you? And if you can talk about the quality group, you mentioned at the start of the webinar today that you actually have your own manufacturing plant, so you can actually create your own products. And I believe you do this on a relatively regular basis. So week on week, you would have fluctuations in customer numbers as well. How have you traditionally handled this problem when you need more agents to deal with additional customers?
First of all, right. I mean, given our two major brands and that we are a social media company, on social media, you need to create a hype. Without a hype, you're dead, you're irrelevant, nobody cares about you, which means there needs to be continuous content which you can focus on. Therefore, we launch new products with one brand every Wednesday afternoon, with the other brand every Sunday morning. Now, that obviously means that around the start of a promotion, there's so-called FOMO. So people actually really rushing, setting alarms to be there at the specific time that we start the promotion. And obviously things can go wrong. People are disappointed, parcels arrive late. So we have kind of an accumulation around those two specific points in time of the week. Traditionally, we just didn't handle that at all. We just kept our flat staffing model. And then over the week, we kind of worked down whatever had been accumulated before. That obviously was an approach that somehow worked, but that was far from being a good approach. And therefore, we changed this last summer.
Okay, so you've changed. You originally had a flat staffing model that wasn't hyper dynamic. You knew you would have some more volume at the start of the week, and that would taper off to the end of the week. So, Manuela, from your perspective, did you also have a similar model previously, and you just had to shuffle people around, or how did it work at 123 TV?
Yes, we also, yes, not in so much detail maybe, but we also have auction based, we have hourly based models in place, because our customers can also go online and give a pre-pricing what they want to see on the auction, so they can they can log into the computer and pre-order as per se.
Yep.
And these people need to obviously also be looked after. And yeah, traditionally it goes back into the customer service, but we can streamline it a little bit better. We're working 7 days a week right through, so we don't have that much of a backlog. But it does happen. Yeah, I mean, you don't know how many customers calling in one auction. We have a rough idea. We have rough numbers.
Okay.
You need to be flexible.
So, yeah, so it sounds like there was, both of your brands had a solution in place, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't sound like it was hyper flexible, and maybe, Alexander, it probably wasn't so cost effective. Would that be a fair assumption?
It was cost effective in a sense that the service level we had back then was significantly less good than we have it today. So if I wanted to achieve today's service level with the previous model, that would be not cost efficient. Back then it was okay, but not as good.
Okay, gotcha. So let's move into we've got a bit of a background on both of your brands, and how you previously looked after your customers and how you approached CX. Obviously, there's some flexible working models that are probably better tailored to companies like yours and to companies as they go into their seasonal periods. So whether that's Black Friday, whether that's a particular travel period, for example. So, Manuela, I know that 123 TV has transitioned to the Hyundai model, where there's a flexible working arrangement with freelance customer experience agents. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey with you, and how that model has helped you with your customer support during peak times?
I'm going to reverse back what Alexander said from a model perspective.
Sure.
Our service levels, obviously that is what you want to reach your customer. You want to reach your customer base fast enough so we can get more customers in, and we get a buy-in from the customer as well. And that ultimately helped us to look at, when we look at Hyundai's structure with the service agents, we're finding that landscape there, because we can work flexible with them together. We make a call out. I can make a live call out and say, look, guys, we need some more people. People would come back. It's up to management in Hyundai and obviously to find the people, but the people are there because they're branded. We have, as I said earlier, right in the beginning, our customer service agents are long-standing customer service agents to the 123 project under the brand. And that makes it very unique in our market. because yes, it might be an older generation, but we need to encourage the older generation to also stay with us. And because of the flexible working models, we have a chance to reach our customers almost on an hourly basis, may it be midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, because that's our working hours as well, or 7 o'clock in the morning. So we can pick them up. And really, it's that phone call what makes it so special. It's that interpersonal activity what goes on in the background. And the Hyundai model allows us to be very, very flexible. We don't have a 9 to 7 or 9 to 5 working day. We can stay online with the customer. So if there's a question coming at midnight, we pick up the phone, or the customer can ring through and basically get help online.
And I guess this is really important for your older demographic that,
Yeah.
they have someone to talk to. I mean,
Yeah.
you could essentially, for all intents and purposes, you could just do an IVR if you wanted.
Correct. Correct.
Everything. But that's not going to be any fun for your customers, and it's not going to help to build the brand or that connection with them for that ultimate customer lifetime value. And with let's say with a flexible outsourced workforce of freelancers like Hyundai provides, then this is much more easily possible. Alexander, what is it about your customers that means, and your business model that means you can transition, as you did, from, let's say, a flat CX staffing model to one that's much more dynamic?
Well, first of all, we do have the lucky situation that in my generation, nobody ever grabs the phone to call you. So we are mostly living with asynchronous communication, meaning chat, email, etc. Makes things easier in terms of planning staffing. But obviously, if you order something on a Sunday, 11 a.m., and you apply a discount code to get your 20% off your favorite products, and you've been waiting for half an hour to get those products, and then you notice that for whatever reason, you go through checkout and the code is not applied. And then you're asking yourself, okay, but will I now get the products? Will I be able to get the discount that I should have received, but somehow did not? And you don't want to wait with this until, I don't know, Tuesday morning to receive your answer. You want to have your answer on that same Sunday morning. And that is something where Hyundai helped us a lot. Also, because you need to consider our staffing is Germany based, so our internal staffing. And German labor laws are not that happy if you tell them that you want to staff your working force on Sundays. So that's another point. And then the second point is, we just recently started going way deeper into analytics of how to staff our people. And now, since we did that, we aligned with our Hyundai counterpart on how to best balance their staff within the week to best accommodate by when we see the influx of the typical requests we receive. So that would be Sunday afternoon, the classic something didn't work with my code or something went wrong in checkout. And typically on like Tuesday afternoon to Wednesday, we would receive like, hey, when's my parcel going out? In case it hasn't, which it usually does. And then like another 3 to 4 days later, there would be the claims of, hey, there was something missing in my parcel. And again, we are speaking about FOMO products that are available for sale once and never again. And if these products are missing, you are pissed and you don't want to wait for an answer. And that's how we kind of need to be there when the request comes in, even though it doesn't need to be the exact same minute, it can be the exact same hour.
So Manuela, let me flick back over to you. Now, Manuela, I'm suspecting that if you were to imitate making a phone call, you and I would both do this. Am I correct? Whereas Alexander, you would probably do this or something similar. The slight generational difference when it comes to calling customer service.
Yes, yes.
So Manuela, from your perspective as a CX professional, what's been one of the big benefits going from a traditional call center operation to using freelance customer experience agents? Like, how would you sum that up, from your experience?
It's a unique working partnership. We're working hand in hand. It's just understanding what we can give to our agents, because as you mentioned, it's freelance agents. They're treating the business, our business, which is my business, as their business. And it's their own interest to make it work. Because otherwise, you probably don't get paid. Like, we don't get our customers coming to us, they don't get the benefit out of it either. If we do bad, or if Hyundai does bad, if the agents do bad, we do bad. So it's a two-way street. It has to be in collaboration together. And the biggest benefit for us is, put my hand on my heart with that, we are right branded. I can my Hyundai agents, my Hyundai customer agents know my business. Yes, we have to give them the information. Yes, we have to give them the tools, but they know my business. They know their customer base. They know my customer base, and they can identify with themselves with it. They can identify with our moderators. They can identify with our products, and that's unique. And that keeps our customer service alive, very dynamic, because it is live. They can follow it through the TV, which I said earlier on, I'm doing myself as well. They can see what is happening. So they can actually, when a customer phones in, we're selling at the moment a football, cost 18 euros. We have 69 pieces still left. Customer phones in, I want to buy 50 of them. Hypothetically could happen. Yeah, and so that would come immediately back to me. I'm basically on standby. We have that interlink function, and that makes it so unique. We don't have to wait 3 or 4 days. We don't. I have my counterpart sitting in Hyundai.
Okay, so it's a pretty powerful point you made then, is that the Hyundai freelancers that 123 TV is using, they treat it like it's their own brand.
Yeah.
And I think this is a pretty powerful point. And sometimes you may not get that within a traditional bricks and mortar old school call center. Alexander, I'm going to throw the same question over to you before you jump on and buy 50 fruit bowls from 123 TV. Mate, what's been the big difference, from your perspective for the quality group, going from this flat structure you had before to using something more dynamic, working with freelance CX agents?
For me, it's a clear flexibility in staffing. And that is both on a kind of short notice call perspective and on a more planned perspective. For example, the more planned perspective, I mean, obviously after Christmas, everybody has regrets about what he has put into his body before. So everybody has the goal to lose weight in January. We know we sell a lot in January, and I'm not going to hire internal staff and train them for a month of January, and then fire all of them. Therefore, I greatly appreciate that Hyundai in that time can scale up. But on the other hand, I live in a social media world. Something can happen today, and I know, I look at the stories, I will need staff tomorrow. So I just go and call my Hyundai counterpart. I'm like, hey, tomorrow I'll need you with W force. Please ask everybody in your team to be there. And then the week after, I'll tell him, listen, this week's promotion didn't go as well as planned. Can you please scale down? Something I can't do with my internal staff. My internal staff will always be there for the base load, but obviously I have clear contracts with them, clear working hours. And that's the beauty of Hyundai. And what I also like is that I'm not bound to like a month-long forecast. Obviously, I know that I will need more staff when there's Black Friday or January. But I don't know whatever will happen on social media tomorrow. And then if something happens tomorrow, I need the staff tomorrow, not in 3 weeks, not in a month. I need it then. And that's something I can do. And the good thing is, I also don't pay too much for it. So it's not only providing me the flexibility, but also the pricing model itself helps to still keep this very attractive.
And the pricing model you're referring to is Hyundai's variable pricing model, which is
correct.
obviously
in the end, I mean, without going into numbers, in the end, I pay a fixed euro amount per hour that an agent is working for us. I don't pay any overages for certain time zones, so that is already included in the base payment. And that's it. It's super easy. I know if I order 100 hours, I pay 100 times the hourly amount. No additional surcharges or whatever else. We can include that, but that increases complexity, that increases points for friction between the two partners, because there's always a question of doubt whether something was delivered as was requested. So it's easy.
Okay. If anyone watching has a question they'd like to ask, feel free to jump into the chat, and you can ask anything you like of Manuela and Alexander about flexible and seasonal workforce scaling within their e-commerce brands. If you have any questions about CX, throw them in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them throughout the course of the webinar as we go through. So let me play devil's advocate here, because you've both talked about the flexibility of using a freelance CX workforce over and above, let's say, FTEs through a traditional call center or within your own e-commerce brand. I guess there's also some time to train these people beforehand. So if companies are going into Black Friday, what sort of training time would they need to get an outsourced freelancer workforce up to speed, do you think? So Manuela, you've got home shopping, lots of different brands. Alexander, you've got, a lot of products based around nutrition. Manuela, you first. What sort of time frame is needed for the training?
Well, that request should traditionally come from Hyundai. I'm expecting Hyundai's operations manager to come back to me and say, Manuela, we have this many people. We need X amount of hours to train, depending of the complexity, of course. The nice thing is that I'm reiterating that again. Our brand is very fortunate enough. We have old and long-standing customer service agents with the brand already. I mean, 7 years within the same brand, it's a long time. So they're very good, mentally prepared for peak season. They know about what peak season is coming. Yes, we have an auction channel that could happen any given time. But remember also what is very interesting in our case, a Black Friday scenario doesn't work for us, because our rebates say nothing to our customers, because we're already in auctions, TV stations, we already go down with the pricing all the time. So it's not incentivizing our customers to actually come and buy from us. We have different scenarios, different peaks, and our customer service agents are familiar with this. So a training could be anything from an hour to 2 days, but depending where they're falling in which category they're falling in.
Okay. So you kind of, in terms of the volume of CX agents you would need, you have mini Black Fridays on a regular basis, which we spoke about at the very top. Okay. So Alexander, what about your products? How much time is needed for training for your freelance agents before they can start being activated for any one of the Quality Group's 3 brands?
There's a two-sided answer. The beauty is, in case of a Black Friday, I need exactly no time to get my capacity up, because the model we drive is every Hyundai agent that is working for us is working with more or less 20 hours per week. Now, in case of a Black Friday, those agents will simply scale up their hours. And as you can imagine, 20 hours per week, you can at least double that without putting too much strain on anybody. So that means a 2x in capacity with people that are already perfectly trained. Easy. Now, if I were to onboard, but we don't work with that approach, new people, that would be at least a month. So you see, that's why I like the current approach. And that's why I also have short-term flexibility, because if I were to hire new people and get them onboarded, I'd completely be unable to counteract any short-term peak in requests.
Okay, so in your case, it's about a month worth of training that's needed. Manuela, for you, it can be a matter of hours or a couple of days, depending on the product or the person, for example. But what you're saying, Alexander, is that by using freelancers already trained that work about 20 hours per week, when Black Friday or some other seasonal event comes up, you just ask them to work more hours. It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Okay, perfect. So Manuela, you mentioned before that you said you've got some freelancers that have been working with 123 TV for 7 years. What percentage of your freelance workforce would that be?
I'm doing this
Hmm?
at the moment.
Yep.
So give and take, I would almost say 40% at least, if not more.
Wow.
If not more.
And now this is really, I mean, this is a bit of an aberration when it comes to the CX world, because quite often call center agents come and go quite quickly.
Yeah, correct.
Why do you think it is that you've had so many people stay for so long with 123 TV in such a role?
I think, as I said, it's an identification with the brand as well. It's an identification with the products and with the customers. And bear in mind, what Alexander's difference on his side probably is, you have a younger customer, you have a younger CX set, we have an older, we have a female. Our majority of our customer agents are female. They're probably mothers. Goes with the products. They can identify with the older generation as well. And I'm saying it hypothetically, but that's what I'm thinking. That's what we have been seeing in the background as well. So we have, for example, I mean, as it sounds strange, but we have customers calling in that they know our agents by name. And they're calling in 3 times a week. And they only want to speak to that agent. Obviously not possible, but they're then requesting. I have spoken. Yesterday or the day before, I received a letter, a handwritten letter still, because that customer called in 2 weeks ago into the customer center, had a very long conversation, and I received a thank you letter. I landed on my desk yesterday or the day before. Obviously, you pass that one on to the customer service agent because it's nice. That is something what you want to have. So the customers remember, and our customer agents are branded. And that is really, it comes down to, it's really that, I mean, I think they like the brand.
Mm-hmm. And Alexander, are you seeing something similar in your experience working with freelance CX professionals?
In what regard?
So just in regards to this affinity with the brand, with the freelancers and working with the quality groups brands.
It's hard to tell because I do not personally interact with them. I have my internal manager for them. The only thing I can tell is looking at the numbers, which is classically the C set, which is on a good level. So, but I haven't received any handwritten letters yet from my Hyundai colleagues.
You wouldn't, you have social media, you have social space.
Exactly. I haven't received any from my internal team either, but I would be very surprised if it were to happen one day. What we rather see is when sometimes like a comment on social media that kind of refers to a good service given. But obviously, as you know, nobody goes into social media with like their real names. And therefore, for me, it's impossible to know where that feedback comes from. But overall, of course, we appreciate good feedback. And given the what I call qualitative measure of CSAT, we are happy.
Super. So we're running a little bit over time. I just want to delve into looking a little bit into the future, if we can. And Alex, I'll start with you. It seems like you're on a good trajectory when it comes to managing your CX workforce. You've transitioned to you've got a base agents and then a freelancer model to help you with this seasonality as you would come into Black Friday or new product launches. Where do you think the industry is heading with respect to, say, AI? And do you see this playing a role in your customer operations solutions in the future?
Absolutely. So we are already right now implementing AI solutions. I think, however, you need to consider that at least we are operating from Germany, so we have quite strict labor laws to follow. We can't process any personal data by AI, so that's kind of the major barrier to implementing it full scale. But what I personally think is that more or less all of the simple tasks in first level, like you ask me, hey, where's my order? This will not be done by humans in the future anymore. And the human value then comes out of 2 factors. First of all, actually implementing action, because that's something AI is absolutely not able to do for us right now. So yes, it can tell you where your parcel is, but if you want to change an item in your order, that needs to be done in a number of systems. That's something AI cannot do yet, maybe in the future. And the second thing is, of course, the AI is only as clever as the person who trained it, and therefore we also need staff doing that. That can be a lot of fun, but it's incredible how complex it is, and you will always find very amusing answers that should not have been given the way they were to customers. But AI has
Have you got
big
an example yet?
potential.
Have you got an example
Um,
of what you can share with us yet?
Yeah, somebody was like complaining that his house number was not on the parcel, and that he had forgotten it. And our AI was answering, sorry, but I can't help you finding your house number if you don't remember it. It was misinterpreting the intent, kind of the customer. Nothing too bad. We've had worse, but that's all a learning process. I guess everybody that is aware of an AI being there and of the space itself will also understand that this can happen. But the thing is, if we don't start now and we start in 10 years, then we'll be overruled. And of course, AI is, first of all, a great opportunity to be incredibly fast, because an AI can easily be scaled. It can answer from 1 to 10,000 requests in the same time. So I reduce the need for like stuff and complexity. And on the other hand, it can also make you more empathetic. So when I write something, and imagine you have this magical button down there that then kind of reads over my text, looks at whether it matches the sentiment of the customer's request, that checks whether I have really answered all the questions that the answer has sent to me. All of this can be done by AI, and in the end, make kind of a great symbiosis between human and machine. So I'm
This
big
is a
believer.
good point that I don't hear very often. It's using AI to just simply level up the skills and abilities of what's being put out. So
Yeah.
more empathy, just double checking things so that
Yeah.
the customer doesn't have to call back. You know, that FCR, the first contact or call resolution, stays nice and high. So this makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
Just going to flick to Manuela. Now, Manuela, knowing that you have a different demographic, and I'm thinking that it's going to be very difficult to AI to talk to Mrs. Miggins about her, pies or knitting while she purchases another 15 vacuum cleaners. But is there a place for AI, do you think, at 123 TV in the near future?
Look, not giving away too much, but I think it will happen by us as well. Yes,
Okay.
AI implemented is definitely on our customer service side within Humdate, truly, because that's what Alexander just raised as well, the empathy effect that needs to be in there, because we're using different agents across the world as well. Our drive currently, I think, is more getting to social media first, because our demographic needs to change. We need to bring it a bit to the more lower levels, under over 30, under 20, something like this. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. We mustn't miss the train. But I concur, we have to work with our customer service very closely, because that's our driving force. You cannot have customer service set of AI, or AI setting of customer service. You need to have that human touch, and be coming from that traditional, 20 years and being in business, we have done something right. And I think it goes with the human touch, and that we should never lose. And it goes across all. If you look at our moderators, they're also in moderation. You can't use an AI function. It's not possible. We have those live shows. That's not possible. So the only way we can use it is to truly properly in the social media space or customer service space. And I do believe our social media will pick up on that as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's wrap up with one final question each, please. Alex, I just want to ask you, and I'll ask you the same question, Manuela. Alex, at the Quality Group and all your experience as a CX professional, what do you think is the secret sauce for giving great CX? What's one of your mantras that you would think about to be successful in your role?
End-to-end ownership. So yesterday I talked about this with one of my closest colleagues, and she called it being the CEO of the moment, which I liked. In the end, the customer doesn't care whose problem it was, whether it is your fault, somebody in logistics, whoever. The customer has a problem and he wants it solved. It's very easy. And you should not just be there, but and kind of tell the customer, it's your fault, I don't care, be empathetic, solve the problem, take care of the problem not occurring anymore, document it, go to the right people, speak about it, and don't take this close look. Like, I'm in customer service, I receive a call, I try to make that call as short as possible, I try not to give out a voucher, I try not to give out a refund. I mean, that works, but that customer will most likely never buy at your place again. And we want to provide a service where the customer in the end is like, this person really helped me. I have the feeling they understood why I was calling them. I understand that they are now really implementing measures to do this. He was really feeling sorry for me having the pain. Because one thing I recently read, and I think that's quite great, if somebody has an issue, they didn't just lose money, they lost time. They lost kind of the expectations that they had towards receiving that product. They lost kind of all the research which they put into, and all this kind of to offset all of this, you have to go beyond.
This is a really nice explanation and turn of phrase for CEO of the moment. Manuela, I could see you nodding because
I
you
like
get
that
it.
one, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I want to flick the same question to you. What's your secret sauce as a CX professional?
My close collaboration with my customer service team. It's true. We
Okay.
understand each other. So I would almost go so far. If it's done right, I can trust them blindly.
Nice. And I guess your customer service team, they're your front line,
Yep.
and I guess you rely on their feedback and the same with you, Alex. This is really important to get that feedback directly from them. It's been really interesting to see, to listen, Manuela, to how 123 TV and Alex, how the Quality Group is approaching their CX and driving some solutions and having some success using a flexible workforce and also giving you some insights into how other companies can use it for seasonal workforce scaling as well. Thank you very much for your time today. And hopefully, Manuela, we can see some of the Quality Group's products on 123 TV soon enough. And Alex will be presenting your products on social.